I'd like to call the meeting to order of the Wilmington City Council. I'd like to welcome all those who are with us here this evening and all those who are watching us at home. Thank you for taking an interest in your government. At this time, I'd like to introduce Captain Jermichael James of the Wilmington Fire Department. Please come forward to give us our invocation. I ask that everyone else stand at this time, and in the aftermath, after Mr. James gives the invocation, we will do the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let's bow our heads in prayer. Heavenly Father, grant those present, O Lord, the wisdom to make choices that will benefit all members of our community. Decisions rooted in compassion, justice, and understanding. May the actions taken within these walls be guided by a desire to create a thriving and exclusive environment where every voice is heard and every citizen feels valued. We ask these things. In Jesus Christ's name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We have some presentations this evening. The first one, I'd like to recognize Dave Mays, the director of our Public Services Department. If you'll please come forward. As I proclaim the week of May 18th through the 24th as Public Works Week. Before I read the proclamation, I just want to say the fire department and the police department get a lot of accolades in our community because they're very visible out there. Public safety is 50% of any municipal budget, not only here in Wilmington, but around the country. But these folks that are with me here today in Dave's group and Public Works Department is the one department that if they don't do their job, I get the calls, and it's called trash. And stormwater and roads and maintenance of our drains and so many of the things, the infrastructure in our community that make this community what it is. And I just want to say it's a tough job. At times it's some of the city is very old and the things that you folks have to do to make it continue to work and run. And I just want to say on behalf of the entire city council and all of the citizens of Wilmington, thank you for everything you folks do every single day for our community. I really do appreciate that. Thank you. City of Wilmington, North Carolina proclamation reads, whereas the City of Wilmington's Public Works Department employs women and men who focus on maintaining and improving public infrastructure, facilities, and services that are of vital importance to sustainable and resilient communities and to the public health, high quality of life, and well-being of the people of the City of Wilmington. And whereas the work performed by the City of Wilmington Public Works Department employees could not be provided without the dedicated efforts of public works staff, who are engineers, managers, and employees at all levels of the city who are responsible for rebuilding, improving, maintaining, and protecting our nation's transportation, drainage, and solid waste systems, public buildings and other structures, and facilities essential for our residents. And whereas it is the public interest for the residents, civic leaders, and children in Wilmington to gain knowledge of and maintain an ongoing interest and understanding of the importance of public works and public works programs in their respective communities. And whereas the year 2025 marks the 65th Annual National Public Works Week sponsored by the American Public Works Association and Canadian Public Works Association. Now, therefore, on behalf of the Wilmington City Council, I, Bill Safford, do hereby designate the week of May 18th through the 24th, 2025 as National Public Works Weeks, and urge residents to join with me and the American Public Works Association and other government agencies in expressing appreciation for the women and men of the City of Wilmington Public Works Department and acknowledge their substantial contributions they make protecting our nation's health, safety, and advancing quality of life. So congratulations, Dave, to you and your great team. Come on. Mike's yours.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First, I just want to say really to council, I hear you say all the time that our employees are our most valuable resource. The decisions that you make up here for us on our behalf to give us the tools and the resources we need to do the job that we love to do, it does not go unnoticed by us. So thank you, first of all. Second of all, to people that are here and listening tonight, if you see our staff out in the field, chances are they have a city logo shirt on, they're driving a big truck, or they've got a high visibility vest on. Please take the time to walk up to them and say thank you. They work hard, they want to make a difference, and any sort of recognition that you can give them out in the field is very meaningful. And lastly, here's an invitation. This Thursday, starting at 11 a.m. till 2 p.m., in the south lot of our new Skyline Center, we will have a Public Works and other departments demonstration day. Lots of equipment, lots of people out there. Please come out and interact with our staff. You'll be able to see some of the things that we do, and we'd love to have you out there on Thursday. So thank you again, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Dave. Appreciate it. Thank you, buddy. Appreciate it. Thank you. There we go. Thank you. On this next presentation, I'd like to welcome the entire City Council to come up here with me for a moment. And I'd like to ask our city manager, Ms. Toni Carter, to come forward. Our city manager is going to be retiring in 10 days. And he has done an outstanding job for our community. He served as deputy city manager for 13 years and as city manager for 5 years, and he's done an outstanding job for this community, but not only here in Wilmington, but around the state of North Carolina. He's a renowned figure in managers, and your expertise and what you have shared with other young managers around the state has been very well documented. And I just want to say thank you on behalf of this entire community for all the dedicated hard work that you have done. A lot of the major projects that have been completed here was due to your hard work and determination. And I personally, on a personal note, have had two of probably the best city managers in the state, maybe even the country, in Sterling Cheatham and you, Tony. And it's been the transformation that you have seen, especially in the downtown area with all the revitalization efforts that took place over many, many years, over the last 20 years, were the result of a lot of hard work and dedication of not only Tony, but his entire team of the city working together to make these projects come to fruition, and they were not easy projects to get done. So I just want to say thank you. So you have been given the Longleaf Pine Award by the governor of the great state of North Carolina, and I am going to read what he has asked me to share with you. And since 1963, North Carolina's governors have reserved their highest honor, the Order of the Longleaf Pine, for persons who have made significant contributions to the state and their communities through exemplary service and exceptional accomplishments. Tonight, on behalf of the governor of the state of North Carolina, I get to bestow this high honor upon Wilmington City Manager Toni Carter, who will retire on May 30th after 44 years of admirable service to municipalities across our great state. Following a closed session at its September 7, 2021 agenda briefing, the Wilmington City Council voted unanimously to name Toni Carter as our city manager. Tony has been serving as deputy city manager since 2008. Prior to his work for Wilmington, Tony served as town manager for the North Carolina communities of Black Mountain, Wrightsville Beach, Topsail Beach, and the city manager of Woodruff, South Carolina. They took you down there for a little bit of time. 16 months, he told me. He began his career in public administration in Asheville as a city planner and holds a Master's of Public Administration from the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. During my tenure as mayor, I've seen Tony's devotion firsthand. He has been invaluable in Wilmington's downtown redevelopment, securing our new city hall, fortifying our emergency preparedness and recovery, and in achieving the varied, ambitious goals of our city councils. Tony has consistently demonstrated that by working together, we can achieve great things for this great community. As Tony prepares to retire, I'm grateful not only for his tremendous service to Wilmington, but also for his service in many of North Carolina's different communities, all of which are better off because of his contribution. It is no exaggeration to say that municipal leaders from across this state turn to Tony for his experience, resourcefulness, and principled leadership style. It is my honor to join others in nominating Tony for this award because I know he is thoroughly worthy, and the city of Wilmington, North Carolina does agree. Notable recipients of the Order of the Longleaf Pine have included Maya Angelou, NBA Hall of Famer and Wilmington native Michael Jordan, actor Andy Griffith, and civil rights leader Coretta Scott King. Over his lifetime, Tony has demonstrated an enduring dedication to the city of Wilmington and to the state of North Carolina, and it makes him worthy of the high honor of the Order of the Longleaf Pine that we honor with him tonight. So on behalf of the governor of the great state of North Carolina and all of the citizens of this community, thank you and congratulations. Penny, may I see the award, please? Everybody get it first. Well, I thought it would be an honor because I know that Penny's probably the longest serving clerk in state history. And so I'm going to ask her on tonight if she will recite this beautiful poem, okay?
Gotcha. It's my pleasure. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Congratulations, Tony.
Thank you, man.
State of North Carolina, Josh Stein, Governor, reposing special confidence in the integrity, learning, and zeal of Anthony Niles Cottle, I do these presents confer the Order of the Longleaf Pine, with the rank of Ambassador Extraordinary privilege to enjoy fully all rights granted to members of his exalted order, among which is the special privilege to propose the following North Carolina toasts in select company anywhere in the free world. Here's to the land of the longleaf pine, the summer land where the sun do shine, where the weak grow strong and the strong grow great. Here's to down home, the old North State. The Honorable Josh Stein, Governor, May 20, 2025. Thank you so much, Tony. Yes, sir. Oh, I'm trying to give it to you. Let Tony have something to say.
I don't know if I want to or not. I'd like to say thank you to council and other councils who have had confidence not only in me, but also in my predecessor and our staffs. I think it's important that the community stick together in being able to deliver a really well-oiled machine of services, and I think that's what the city of Wilmington does. We could not do it with direction from the council, and you folks have been consistent in your direction over the course of the years. I would be remiss if I didn't speak to the staff, and you saw some of the folks up here earlier this evening. You see some more of the folks in the back of the room. What we have done has been nothing short of amazing, but it's all been on their shoulders and their backs. And so I honestly say thank you very much, because this is for all of y'all. It's not for me.
Thank you. Next order of business is our consent agenda, items 1 through 4. Are there any items that any council member would like to hear separately? If not, what are the wishes of this council? We have a motion to approve from Councilmember Andrews, second by Councilmember Waddell. Any further discussion? All in favor of that motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any against? That item passes unanimously. Our next segment is our public information segment. We have 4 speakers that have signed up to speak with us this evening. Each speaker will be allotted 5 minutes. Our first speaker is Mr. Steve Anthony, who will be speaking to us about the Wilmington Police Department. Mr. Anthony?
Mayor, council members, good evening. I'm Steve Anthony from Morehead City, North Carolina, retired state law enforcement manager, and now a staff representative for the North Carolina Division of the Southern States Police Benevolent Association. Our division has over 17,000 members who are law enforcement professionals throughout the state. Our parent association, Southern States PBA, has over 72,000 members in 11 states. We are a professional trade association that provides legal assistance for officers in critical incidents and advocate for officers at the local and state level on various issues that impact not only them, but the community they serve. Most Wilmington Police Department officers are members. We were made aware of serious concerns within WPD many months ago. Through speaking with members, we discussed these and learned of the ISS report, which may have included some of those concerns. A meeting was held with Mayor Southfield and Councilman Waddell about this to see how best to move forward. Following that meeting, we were hopeful for positive results. That didn't occur. More meetings with members were held as situations within WPD continued. A survey was compiled and the results submitted to you that substantiated concerns held by officers. Continued requests for the release of the ISS report were denied. I won't go into the minutia of all prior actions as your position has been made clear to our members, all staff of WPD, and the citizens they serve. It is now time to move forward, and with the retirement of Chief Williams, you have an opportunity to have a positive impact on WPD. We would ask to be part of finding solutions and improving the many issues facing WPD. With the selection process for a new chief underway, we would like to be part of this by asking that after initial selection has been narrowed down to several candidates, a public forum be held with those candidates to describe their qualifications, vision, and how to address issues within WPD. After that, we would request a survey be sent to all staff within WPD to get their opinions of the candidates. The request for PBA involvement in such selection process is not new. It has been successfully used in Winston-Salem Police Department. That department has grown into a positive place for officers to grow and to be an effective part of the community. PBA leaders have regular meetings to discuss issues, opportunities, and solutions on a regular basis. Raleigh has also similar meetings with the department leadership as well. The same can and should happen with all departments. Thank you for your time. We look forward to working with you to make WPD a department to be proud of and one that officers can feel they are valued as they risk it all for the citizens they serve. Thank you.
Mr. Spears?
What was his name again?
Mr. Steve Anthony.
Mr. Anthony, come back. Have you had an opportunity to speak with Chief Williams at all?
No, I have not.
Have you reached out to Chief Williams?
I have not.
So yet you represent the members of the Wilmington Police Department, and you're from Morehead City,
I am. I'm a staff representative for the 17,000 members that we currently have.
and you're going to take on the issues concerning Wilmington, North Carolina, but have not even tried to communicate with the chief at all?
That was part of the conversation that we held earlier with the mayor and looked for ways to move forward. But no, we have not done that, and I won't go into reasons why right now.
You won't go into the reasons why you haven't reached out to the chief?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Any other questions, sir?
Next speaker is Ms. Sarah Moxley, who will be speaking to us about allocation of Wilmington taxpayer funds.
Good evening, council members. A poll in November of 2023 showed that a majority of U.S. voters support a permanent ceasefire and de-escalation of violence in Gaza. That was November of 2023. This question was polled again in February 2024, and the support for a permanent ceasefire continued to increase from a majority to 2/3 of voters. January 2025, 4 out of 5 voters, that's 78%, said that they are supportive, including 84% of Democrats, 76% of independents, and 73% of Republicans. Over 100 city councils in the U.S. have passed resolutions calling for a ceasefire. Over the past year and a half, we have spoken at almost every single city council meeting regarding our government's support and funding of the Israeli military. We have written emails, signed petitions, we have written emails, signed petitions, hand-delivered hundreds of postcards from Wilmington citizens, invited each of you to multiple educational events, and even sung outside before city council at almost every meeting for the past year and a half. Over the past 2 months, our group has set up tables in public places and spoken with hundreds of Wilmington citizens. Every person we spoke to was upset that over $9 million of Wilmington taxpayer funds were spent on Israel's weapons last year alone. Every person we spoke to was opposed to our tax money going to this, across political spectrum, religious affiliation, race, gender, socioeconomic status. As Wilmington citizens, we want our tax money going to things that better our community instead of weapons that have killed over 53,000 Palestinians and injured over 121,000 Palestinians to date. Over the past 2 months, each of you have received 1,085 emails from Wilmington citizens asking you to represent us and oppose the use of federal taxpayer dollars to arm Israel, and to pressure state and federal lawmakers to do the same. None of us have received a single response from any city council members to these 1,085 emails. We are your constituents. We are also a reflection of the vast majority of Americans. Regardless of if you personally are sympathetic to our cause, you are failing to represent us. So, I would like to see a raise of hands. Who is willing to meet with members of our group to hear our concerns? Thank you. Thank you. So, for the record, that was Councilmember Barnett, Councilmember Waddell, and Councilmember Celeste Andrews. The rest of you, you're unwilling to meet with us to hear our concerns as your constituents. Let the record show the rest of them are unwilling to meet with their constituents. Some of you have claimed to not know enough about what is happening in Palestine to give a response. I'm happy to let you know of another educational event that is happening right next door here in Thereon Hall. We invite you to attend a screening of the Oscar-winning documentary film, No Other Land, made by Palestinian-Israeli Collective. Our group is actually willing to buy the tickets for any of you who would like to attend this film screening. You're also welcome to join us for a post-film discussion with our group this Sunday at 2:00 p.m. Who is willing to attend No Other Land? I'd like to see a raise of hands. Thank you, Celeste Andrews. Let the record show no one else was willing to attend a film screening happening in this very building. A response from you has become more urgent than ever. Israel has implemented complete blockade of humanitarian aid entering Gaza for 78 days, 3 months. After international pressure, 5 trucks were allowed entry on Monday, yesterday. The UN describes the current aid flow as a drop in the ocean of a catastrophic humanitarian crisis. Food security experts last week warned of famine and that Israel is using starvation as a weapon of war. Just 6 hours ago, UN humanitarian chief warned that 14,000 babies in Gaza will die within 48 hours if they do not receive humanitarian aid. This aid is ready to go. This is baby food that is sitting at the border and not being allowed in. And yet we continue to use our tax money, you continue to use our tax money as U.S. government to aid Israel's military.
Ms. Moxley, could you please, your time's up.
I ask for a response from you, and I look forward to meeting with those of you who said you're willing to meet with us. Thank you.
Next speaker is Mr. Brandon Gray, North Carolina Police Benevolent Association Southeastern Chapter. Mr. Gray.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name's Brandon Gray, representing the North Carolina Police Benevolent Association, specifically that of Brunswick, Pender, and New Hanover counties. Like Mr. Steve Anthony addressed, we would like to have some type of input on this. We would like to assist as best we can with the multiple different facets and the angles of the situation itself. Unfortunately, as we have already, several of us have already discussed, this is a situation that is very dire, but at the same point in time, the fact that the council is moving forward with this and has got a solid progression as far as how they are looking for positive movement with the selection process of approximately 45 plus candidates currently right now, as well as the fact of the national screening. I believe the fact that you will have a solid candidate in there for chief that I believe will also continue the legacy of the Wilmington Police Department and providing services for you and for the citizens thereof. I appreciate your time and I appreciate your understanding. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. This concludes our public information segment. Our next item of business is our public hearings. Item PH1A is an ordinance making the appropriations to the general fund for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2025. This time I'd like to recognize City Manager, Mr. Tony Cottle. Mr. Cottle.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. But Lauren Mortell, our Budget Director, will overview this item for this and the next two items for us.
Thank you.
4 items.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem, excuse me, and council members. I'm here to just open up the public hearing with a brief introduction for the 4 items that we will be presenting tonight. The FY26 recommended budget is just over $306 million. The budget was, there was a reevaluation of assessed properties this year, and so this year was $35 billion, which is up 53%. We have a budget that is prepared with a real property tax rate of 28.25 cents, and a tenth of a cent is over the net neutral, just to continue our practice of rounding to the nearest quarter. We have a value of 1 cent at $3.5 million. And the split between the general fund and the debt service is we have 22 4/5 of a cent going to the general fund and 5 3/4 of a cent going to debt service. So during reevaluations, the state requires the city to provide what is the net neutral rate. The net neutral rate encompasses the revenues that we had from last year plus the natural growth. This rate is published so people can understand if there is an increase in taxes. So this year, what is the implications for the average homeowner? The median residential homeowner of last year was about $238,000. This year, it will grow to about $364,000, which is a 53% increase. With the net neutral, they will see just under $25. With the rounding to the nearest quarter, it will be $3 more, and they will see an annual increase of $28. A quick view of the general fund. You can see that the general fund is $156 million. The majority of that goes to public safety, followed by our general government, which encompasses our support systems. And then lastly, I'll go over a few of the enterprise funds. Parking is balanced at just under $10 million. They do recommend a fee adjustment for residential parking permits, and then stormwater is balanced at just over $16 million. And there is a fee adjustment for the ERUs, which is just under $9. Golf is balanced at $2.7 million, And there is a recommendation for fee adjustments for cart rentals and punch cards. And finally, we have recycling and trash, which is balanced at 13 million, and there is no increase in any of their fee adjustments. That does conclude the introduction to the public hearing.
Does anybody have any questions? Ms. Martel, Mr. Waddell?
Ms. Mortel, I think I ask you this every year, and I'm always forget, so I apologize.
Fine.
This is the open and the public hearing. Then we have 2 readings of the budget where we can kind of discuss publicly outside of the budget workshop process, where we have it from this dais to discuss the budget and ultimately vote on and ratify it, right? Will you break down that timeline for me?
Yes, so we have the public hearing for the public to give their information. Ideally, we would have all of the discussions occur by the 28th or 30th? 30th is our next work session, so we can breeze through the reading of the budget because there is a time when we have to have it done, and if you guys can't agree during the public or the first reading, second reading, we would have to call a special session. But yes, things can happen, but hopefully we can get it done by the 20th or the 30th.
Okay, yeah. There's no vote tonight on this budget. It's the opening
That's
of the
correct.
public hearing.
This is just for the public to make comment.
One other follow-up, not related to that, but related to the budget that I should have asked you at the workshop, and I apologize for not. Last year, there was some discussion of the council contingency. We have about $250,000, but we did have a $250,000 budget into council contingency. Is that same amount in this year's proposed budget?
That is correct. There's $100,000 for just council contingency, and I believe there's $150,000 for economic council contingency.
In the next budget work session, unless you know it off the top of your head, could we see a breakdown of how that was utilized in this last year?
Yes.
Thank you.
Any questions? Okay. Thank you. I'm going to open up the public hearing now and ask if anybody in the public wishes to speak on.
Good evening. I've heard that one of the issues that the council's been dealing with is how to raise enough funds for giving raises and other needs of the city. And one of the proposals is to eliminate the mounted horses. So I wanted to speak to that. And I am here to speak on behalf of the horses that would have to be disposed of if their unit is dissolved. I'm a 25-year resident and taxpayer of the city of Wilmington and a former equestrian. I appreciate the need to raise funds for other needs without raising taxes, but I think that the fate and welfare of these intelligent, sentient creatures should override the reduction in city expenditures that would result from cutting this program from the WPD budget. There are now 5 horses, 2 of which I read are bonded to each other. Their fate should be the city council's #1 concern. They are not 5 old tractors that can be sold for parts. If to be sold, the 2 bonded horses must be kept together and all need to go to conscientious new owners who will give them first-class care until they die, not sent to glue factories or to do hard labor. On the other hand, I'm against using horses for civilian control. They are large animals and people could be unintentionally hurt if the horse spooks and the situation gets dicey. For crowd, criminal, and control, they should be replaced with Segways or other type of mechanized vehicles. So it's a difficult choice to make here, saving money, but the welfare of these horses should be primary. I know that some people love to see the horses, me too, but not if they are being forced to work long hours or under inclement weather. Their hooves on hot pavement, those are inhumane things to expect of those animals. On the other hand, I understand everybody loving to see them and pet them. Maybe what we need is a group of equestrians from around here to volunteer to come to parades and do weekend events that would not cost the city anything, but would still give everybody the pleasure of seeing these beautiful animals. Thank you for your consideration.
Could you just state your name for the record?
Oh, I'm sorry,
And where you
yes.
live, so the clerk can get that.
Alina Schmont,
Thank
city
you, Alina.
resident,
Thank you, Alina.
taxpayer.
Thank you. And just state your name and where you live for the record. Come on, come on. Yeah.
Hello, my name is Rebecca Trammell, and I'd like to speak pretty much to the same issue. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth was without form and void, and darkness covered over the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God hovered over the face of the waters. And then God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. But when it came to making mankind, he didn't speak to anything. He spoke to himself and said, "Let us make man in our own image," which is how we have the concept of Imago Dei, image of God. And how do we spell day? Anyone? DEI. When we're talking about DEI, we are talking about affirming that God created us in his own image with inherent dignity and worth. We are talking about affirming the image of God. Now, I like horses. Horses are great, and it does add to the charm of our city. However, charm is deceitful and beauty is vain. But what matters most is the DNA of our city, the people of our city. People born with the certain unalienable rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And we can call DEI a whole lot of things, but DEI reduced to its common denominator is affirming Imago Dei. That's what it's about. Nothing more, nothing less. It means liberty and justice for all, not more for one person or another. That's what Imago Dei, that is what Imago Dei is, and that is what DEI is. And yes, I think that perhaps it could be, we should consider bikes for our officers. We already see them on bikes, and they're wonderful because it puts the people in proximity with these officers, so we have conversations with them. We can walk up and talk to them. That's great. They get exercise. They probably enjoy the camaraderie of riding in teams, our officers. And I'm sure that a bike is way more cost-effective than a horse. So let's get down to it. At the end of the day, what is our job but to do justice and love mercy and walk humbly with our God? What is our job in the civil society but to make sure that we treat one another as we want to be treated ourselves? And that is what DEI is. And how do I know that? Because all these things popped up at around 2020. And what was happening in 2020? We saw a man that was killed, murdered in broad daylight, filmed around the world, and next thing you know, what's happening? DEI programs. Because that is what it's about. It's about making sure that all American citizens have the same right, and they are, and that dream, that American dream, is our lived reality. So I would please hope that this city would value the very lives of our people enough to continue the practice of DEI work, because we are Imago Dei. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, council members. My name is Alex Jolly. I'm a veteran, and my family and I live in Wilmington. I'm here to voice support of the proposed budget's plan to reduce the cost of the city's police force by disbanding the Mounted Police Division. To find out that it costs $351,000 a year to sometimes field up to 4 mounted officers and their working horses, it makes sense to me to refunnel these funds into more effective support for citizens. I do not believe that the uses of mounted patrolling, crowd management, and community outreach are worth the risk to the public, the animal welfare concerns, or the negative optics. A horse is a large animal that can easily maim or kill a human. Whether it is a sudden kick or a provoked bite, a horse is a deterrent because of the perceived threat of violence that can occur, violence that some may hope may only be used on bad guys, but could easily be unleashed, provoked or not, on an innocent member of the public. This is the risk that public faces when one of these animals that have been desensitized via training to some forms of violence on people face when these mounted officers are on the streets. And then to imagine that placing one or more of these large animals into a crowd as a deterrent seems like an easy way to cause some form of injury. So by most measures, an unlikely way to de-escalate a rising crowded situation. Intending to force these animals to perform like this is inherently cruel and a miserable existence to have them face. Let people be police officers and horses be horses. Animals are not here to perform for us when we deem it necessary, especially when performance entails a possible threat to public safety in this city. To me and other community members, the optics of controlling a powerful animal, such as a horse, to potentially perform directed or unprovoked violence on the community seems like outdated, risky police work not aligned with the values of keeping our community safe. Again, especially considering the cost of more than $350,000 a year for up to 4 units deployed at a time, it's a waste of money and should be spent elsewhere. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Cheryl Hartsoe. I'm the president of the Downtown Business Alliance, and I'm here to speak to you tonight and urge you to not cut funding that has been appropriated to DBA for many years since 2007. The Downtown Wilmington Business Alliance is seeking the continuance of city services funds for the events we wish to continue to produce for 2025 and 2026 in the Central Business District and the associated districts of downtown Wilmington. Since 2007, the council has provided funds from the City Council contingency funds. The amount requested remains at $10,000 per year, and as I hope to say to you tonight, you can find what we can do with $10,000 in 1 year is incredible. These funds, again, would be transferred to the Special Purpose Funds, which is controlled and managed by DBA, to assist with the cost of events that promote, and not limited to, police and fire department, waste removal, barricades, stage and sound production, advertise, and portalettes. We have been in existence for over 40 years, and we are a nonprofit 501c3 whose mission is to support, promote, unite, and advocate for downtown businesses and the business community. We are not funded by any government groups and rely heavily on the events that we sponsor to accomplish this mission. We have over 200 businesses that are members with us that pay $50 a year to be a part of our grassroots organization. We are a membership-based organization and a volunteer board, and it is through civic activism and special annual events that the organization is able to make downtown a viable and attractive community for residents and business and tourists. When the community visits downtown for any of our sponsored events, we've set forth an event layout to promote and spread the event over several blocks to encourage people to find businesses they may not have seen before. We also promote the city's parking facilities as easy and inexpensive for visitors. We have been hugely successful, and the downtown Wilmington and area districts are thriving. Initially, the guidelines were that funds had to be spent on events initially in the CBD district. And in 2015, we changed our bylaws to include and support the surrounding districts. At that time, the districts included Southfront, the Soda Pop, Southfront, Castle Street District, Brooklyn Arts District, Northern Waterfront District, and over the past 2 years, it includes the Soda Pop and the Cargo districts have been included. Over the period of several years, DBA requested that the city allow the funds to be allocated to those districts as well, and that has happened. Recently, we were informed that DBA was on the chopping block for city funding. I find that incredibly disheartening to our membership and to our board, who works very hard, and the amount of $10,000, what we can do with that is as follows. The downtown holiday tree lighting, which the city had been involved with for many years, but turned over to DBA exclusively 2 years ago, that is part of that budget. Santa Claus, music, entertainment, free hot cocoa, new decorations that you saw this year, cutouts, the Santa's workshop, Really Cool Wilmington Cool Christmas, a holiday marketplace and social gathering. We contribute to that. Feast Wilmington, 2 days down at the Live Oak Amphitheater was allocated by the city and through us. Riverfront Farmers Market, Downtown Alive, Downtown Wine and Beer Walk, American Craft Walk, the Veg Out Festival, St. Patrick's Day Festival, ribbon cuttings galore, which the mayor and some of you attend. You know downtown is thriving and DBA is there. Welcoming new businesses, and this year specifically, we help promote the Brooklyn Arts District for their social program, the Castle Street Collective, free movies for the entire community, and the Cargo District, a highly successful spring event this past couple of weeks ago. I wish that you would reconsider the recommendation that you have been put forth to defund the DBA. Just seeing what we can do with $10,000 in 1 year, I think that speaks for itself. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
My name is Gregor Owen, and I'm a new business owner in town. I came to Wilmington in 2019, and I looked at a lot of networking organizations in town at the time and found that the Downtown Business Association was directly involved in helping new people to Wilmington and new businesses to Wilmington to feel welcome and spread the word of what they were trying to do. COVID hit after my first quarter, and it was quite an impact. And I think the meetings at DBA helped form a plan for us to survive in Wilmington. And the $50 fee a year is great because any business can join no matter what level they are in their growth, whether they're brand new, fully funded, or like me, putting all the money into the interior of the business, and then really have to build my business any way I can. The Monday afternoon, evening meetings are perfect for that sort of thing for an owner. You can get away on a day that's probably not as busy as some of your other days. The meetings are not for social purposes. Everybody discusses each other's businesses and spreads the word. We share locations from business to business to gather the entire group together, no matter how small or large we are. You can sponsor hosting, or you can sponsor another business to come in. It's a brotherhood and sisterhood of businesses that is simple, clean, and has a direct effect on my growth, and I know it has effect on smaller businesses in town. $10,000 after the discussion of the budget seems like a small price to pay, with the alternative having to increase membership fees and cut out some small, struggling early businesses who need the help immediately upon opening, but maybe don't have the wherewithal to dedicate too much time and money towards an organization such as the DBA. So I just want to give my heartfelt support to them and hope the budget continues to support that group. They do positive things for the city. A small little story, I wanted to sponsor a lot of charities. One of mine was Toys for Tots. All I had to do was mention it a couple of times at the DBA. We gathered 2 or 3 huge garbage bags for the Marines, and I think that DBA played a good part in that, and they have with my other charity events. So please keep the support and budget of the DBA. Thank you.
Anybody else?
All righty. Nolan Heath, for the record, last name spelled like the candy bar. How much time do I have? 3 minutes? All right. I wasn't planning to speak tonight, so this is just all off the top of my head, but I think about it every time I get behind the wheel. And Wilmington is a great city. It's beautiful. It has a lot to be proud of. But one thing that's atrocious are the roadways here. I think they are very dangerous. I think a lot of citizenry here as well find them very dangerous. And really, Wilmington should be ashamed of how its roads are in the condition that they are in. They are not well lit. The road lines are burned off. You can't even tell where to turn if you're in a turning lane and you're going across an intersection. And you go down Eastwood Road, you go down Oleander Road, you don't go down College Road, you go down Shipyard at night. It's pitch black. Independence Boulevard, pitch black in certain areas. And I know that we are a high area for pedestrian deaths and injuries. And I tell my students all the time, be careful when they're crossing College Road. But I really feel that this is a issue that affects everybody. Also, another thing is that the lights aren't synced. I remember in 2007, I think they were updating the computer system or something for the lights and the synchronization, but I swear every time I drive around here, I'm reminded of that. Do you remember that movie with Ben Stiller and he's racing Robert De Niro home and Meet the Parents? And each time they're racing at the red light and they get to the next red light's red. He's trying to go faster, the next red light hits him red. And it just feels like that way with every intersection. They're not well synchronized. Doesn't seem like the computer system is advanced in that degree. And also, I think that's bad for the environment if you're constantly idling and then having to stop and accelerate. But Mr. Mayor, you're running for re-election. For the first time in a long time, you have a formidable candidate. And I feel that, I took a look at your beautiful video. I loved your video and all that you had to say. And one issue that I think if you touched on this one, it would be gold. Let me tell you, it would be, if you talked about the roads, because it talks about everybody. We all care about a beautiful city, and you bring industries here, but if I'm retired, I don't care if you're bringing industries here, but I care if my roads look good and they're easy to drive. If I'm elderly, and you have a lot of elderly people here and that live in this city and that moved here, they can't see. I'm in my 30s, I can see well, and I hate driving at night. God forbid it rain, in a rainstorm. And so, like I said, if you ran on this issue of beautifying the roads and making them safer, it'd be bye-bye Barfield. Let me just tell you. But another issue, you're driving up 40 at night, you can't even see the signage. You're at College Road and Oleander, that side is all warped. You can't even see what that green, so I don't know if you have to call the DOT or the county or whomever, but I know you people know what to do. You're smart people, and I think that this could be something that would really touch everybody.
I'm glad that you brought that up because you've talked about every one of those roads. Could you say them again? Oleander Drive.
Oleander Drive.
Shipyard Boulevard.
Eastwood
College Road.
College Road.
Keep
Eastwood.
going. Okay.
Yep.
I just want you to know one thing, because I think a lot of people are not aware of this. The state of North Carolina owns every one of those roads, and every one of us up here have complained to the North Carolina Department of Transportation. You have elected officials in Raleigh, and I'd hope that you ask them for those things as we have been asking for quite some time. So I appreciate that.
I would love your direction on that.
You have a state senator, and you have state representatives, and you have DOT representatives. Right. And I would hope that you folks do that, because a lot of people think we own those roads, and we do not own those roads. So I want to make that clear to everybody.
Sure.
We own the interior roads in the city, but I want to make certain that people understand that. I appreciate you give us that opportunity to say that tonight. Thank you.
But, surely I know that you could push harder or try more avenues. There's always a way.
I'm trying to get a bridge right now. I really love to be able to do that. Thank you very much.
I know, right? I know you're trying to get a bridge
tonight.
I saw all the other stuff on here.
With no tolls.
Right. But, no, so I'd appreciate that direction. Dawn has my information, so if you could get that to me. But I'd love to speak on behalf and any ideas that you have.
Thank you.
Just make these roads safer.
Appreciate
Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
Anybody else?
Hi, my name is Brian Cowing. Thank you so much for giving me an opportunity to speak, of course. I'm here to ask that we retire the use of the horses in police work. It's for the safety of our officers, the progress of our city, and of course the welfare of the horses. Horses are incredibly sensitive animals. They're prey-driven, so they're easily spooked. Loud music, big crowds, cars, all these things are disruptive to a horse's existence. They're not biologically created for that. So when we put them in those situations, we're putting them at risk and we're putting our officers at risk as well. And this isn't just a hypothetical concern. In 2022, a horse was struck by a drunk driver. Luckily, the officer was okay, but the horse himself had to undergo therapy due to a leg injury. Like I said, the officer was okay, but it could have gone differently. And interestingly, that was the second time that the horse's name was Elton. That was the second time he had been struck by a vehicle. I think our officers deserve tools that help them do their job safely and effectively, and I don't think that those tools include horses. My personal opinion, get them some motorcycles, way more fun. At the same time, I think the horses deserve better too. If we retire the program, I think we absolutely need to look into sanctuaries. I've contacted Penderosa Sanctuary in Willard, as well as Red Feather Barn, and received positive responses. These horses deserve a true retirement, not another tour of duty. The horse program costs the city around $350,000 every year, and that money could be redirected to salaries, safety programs, bike or foot patrols, or I don't know, motorcycles, just an idea. Other cities have retired their mounted units, and they found that public safety didn't decrease, but in fact increased. I think we have the opportunity to do the same and move away from a system that doesn't really make sense, and one that puts our animals and the officers out of harm's way and moves us towards a more compassionate and modern model of public safety. Please retire the mounted unit and give these horses a peaceful sanctuary retirement. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay. Madam Clerk, have you received any additional commentary?
No, sir, I have not.
Okay. Any other further questions from council? Okay. I'm going to close the public hearing and move on to the next item, which is item PH1B, which is the ordinance making appropriations to the grant projects, financial plans, enterprise funds, debit service funds, special tax district, and convention center fund for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2025. And again, I would like to recognize City Manager Mr. Caudle. Mr. Caudle.
Mr. Mayor, we intended for the presentation given earlier to be comprehensive for all of these items, PH1, A, B, C, D, and anticipated that the public hearing would be for all items. So unless you have additional information that you would like about those, we would be considered to have given as much input on this process as we can.
Okay. Any questions from council? Yes, sir. Mr. Waddell.
Well, and I know it was maybe discussed at the beginning when the proposed budget was originally rolled out, but the true net neutral rate plus the 2.5% growth that's allowed by the state, and then you had it before, Laura, sorry, I might maybe have you come up one more time. What was that number, and then what was the reasoning behind bumping it up 0.15, I think, percent, or 0.15 cents?
It's 28.15, which would be the net neutral, and by practice, which we've done during reevaluation, is just round the rate to the closest quarter.
Is that a city policy? Is that just
It's not a policy,
historically
it's
what
just a
we've done in a
practice.
reval?
Just a practice.
So if it was 28.05, we would have still rounded it up to a quarter.
28.05, we probably would have rounded it down.
We would have rounded it down? We were close.
We
Have
were
we
at
ever rounded it down?
28.15, 1.5.
Have we ever rounded it down?
I don't have that memory in my head.
Yeah. And then what is the dollar amount that, again, this is something we can talk about in the budget work session, but 28.15 versus 28.25, what is that delta actually from a revenue standpoint?
About $351,000.
Okay. Thank you, Laura. Appreciate it.
Anybody else? Okay. And then I'm also speaking to the record, item PH1C, which is the ordinance making the appropriations to the Capital Projects Fund for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2025, and item PH1D, which is the ordinance amending the various chapters of the City of Wilmington fee schedule for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2025. So that's all for the record. We've already had the public hearing. Any other questions on any of those particular items? Okay, very good. All right, thank you. With that, we'll go to our next item of business, which is item PH2, which is an ordinance extending the corporate city limits of the City of Wilmington, North Carolina. At this time, I'd like to recognize the City Manager, Mr. Caudle. Mr. Caudle.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Todd Rademacher, the planner, will overview this item for us.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. This is public hearing for the annexation of 904, 912, 1000 North Carr Avenue. The requested voluntary annexation, The requested voluntary annexation includes approximately 8.265 acres located off of North Carr Avenue. The site is contiguous to the primary corporate limits. The proposed development program for this property includes 79 total residential units, 54 of which would be included with this annexation. The remaining 25 are already within the existing corporate limits. If the annexation is approved, the public hearing to establish zoning for this site would be June 3rd. The site is currently vacant property. The site is surrounded by MD10 CD, MD17, and R10 zoning within the city limits. Adjacent zoning in New Hanover County is R15 residential. Here you'll see photos of the existing conditions surrounding the subject property. And here are some of the uses and the land uses around the property as well. Residential multifamily to the north and east, with vacant land to the west and Duke Energy property to the south. The requested annexation meets all of the applicable annexation evaluation criteria. All minimum statutory requirements are met. There are no issues regarding boundaries applicable. Land use and zoning requirements are met with conditional district zoning application being submitted, which exceeds 2.3 persons per acre, and there have been no requests to New Hanover County made. Impacts on city services, there are no substantial impacts anticipated, and staff for multiple departments have evaluated the petition with no impacts anticipated, and finance reporting positive net revenues, and there are no exceptions required for this particular annexation. This next slide shows where the city staff has reviewed this annexation for impacts on city services, and the finance officer, like I said, reports positive net revenues. Based on the findings presented in the staff report, as well as the adopted annexation policy, staff recommends approval of the annexation petition. The site does have access to water and sewer, is contiguous to the city limits. Per the approved annexation policy, if approved, the effective date of this annexation would be June 30th, 2025, and that does conclude my presentation.
Any questions? It is kind of an unusual donut hole that you're
Yes, sir.
surrounded by the city limits, and this one little piece was left out.
Yeah, in the 60s, I believe.
Interesting. Okay, thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Mr. Joyner?
Could we just go back to the slide with the timeline for the annexation, please? Sorry, if I could have just 1 second to continue to look at this. Was this connected to a project that we heard, I don't know, 3 or 4 months ago? There was something in that same area of town. I see staff shaking your heads no. That was in the area but was not related to this. Some townhomes, I think.
That's correct. At the intersection of Marjoram and North Carr, there was a project there that was presented not too long ago.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay. At this time, I'd like to recognize the applicant. Is the applicant here?
Good evening, Mayor Saffo and members of City Council. My name is Matt Nichols. I'm an attorney in Wilmington, and I'm here this evening representing the applicant owners. We have a brief presentation that will help explain the request, and we appreciate your consideration this evening. I know that council is very familiar with the site. It's very centrally located. In this picture, you can see North Carr Avenue on the left side of the screen to the west, the Martin Luther King Jr. Parkway to the north, and New Center Drive to the south. The property is accessed via Marjoram Way, and as we'll show in a few slides to follow, we're actually proposing to make a connection to existing Azalea Landing Drive, which I think will be a big public benefit. The property that my client, Canvas Residential Partners, would like to have a townhome development on with a pending conditional district zoning request is essentially about 11 and a quarter acres, and the annexation request before you this evening is a little bit more than the majority of that at roughly 8 and a quarter acres. And here is the site plan that we presented to the Planning Commission in April. It's 79 townhomes with an approximate overall density of around just a little bit over 7 units an acre. So it's consistent with the surrounding uses and the existing zoning in the area. It was unanimously recommended for approval to City Council by the Planning Commission, and we also had a good community meeting in January, and it was well received by those in attendance. And this shows you the annexation area for purposes of the proposed development, which I understand would potentially be before City Council for consideration in June. Here's the rendering that we showed to the Planning Commission. And I know we'll hopefully have the opportunity to present the project in more detail next month, but I just wanted to show you what the proposed development consists of. This is an unusual request, as Mayor, as you mentioned. My understanding is this was not part of previous annexations because it was a farm. I don't know. That's what I was told, and it makes sense. But the property is surrounded on two sides of the triangle by the city of Wilmington. And as you'll see in the next slide, the property that would remain New Hanover County and is not part of the request is largely power line easements. You can see this on the next slide, which we've shown. Duke Energy Progress owns the property to the immediate south. And this slide's helpful too because it shows the property to the, I guess, northwest and northeast are multifamily. This is the current zoning, which is RMFL in the county, and what we are asking for is with the zoning in the city would be totally consistent with that. We're asking for the MD10 CD on the proposed annexation portion and also the portion to the west. And the current zoning in the county would allow 10 units an acre, so it's very much a parallel zone to what you'd have in the county. And my client really wants to be in the city, would love to have the entire project in the city. There's a lot of benefit to that, and that's really the purpose of the request. So in summary, this is true contiguous infill annexation. It's a central location. It will expand the tax base. The infrastructure is in place, and it will significantly enhance the connectivity in the area, and it's entirely consistent with the surrounding areas. So with that said, Mr. Mayor, we're glad to answer any questions this evening, and we appreciate your time. Thank you.
If anybody any questions for Mr. Nichols?
Yeah, Mr. Nichols, any challenges with Duke? Are they right now?
No, sir. We've heard nothing in that regard, so
right,
I'm not
good.
aware of any of that being an issue whatsoever.
All right, thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you, Mr. Nichols.
Thank you.
I'm going to open up the public hearing and ask if anybody in the public wishes to speak on item PH2. Madam Clerk, have you received any additional comments?
No, sir, I have not.
Are there any further questions from council? If not, I'm going to close the public hearing and ask for the wishes of council. We have a motion to approve by Mayor Pro Tem Barnett, second by Councilmember Spears. Any further discussion? All in favor of that motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item passes unanimously on first reading. Is there a motion to waive second reading? Motion made by Councilmember Andrews, second by Councilmember Waddell. Discussion. All in favor of that motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item passes unanimously on first as well as second reading. That brings us to our next item of business, which is item PH 3, which is an ordinance directing the housing inspector to vacate, close, and repair or demolish a dwelling at 553 Manley Avenue as unfit for human habitation pursuant to Article 5, Chapter 16 of the City Code, and directing that a notice be placed thereon prohibiting its use or occupancy. This time I'd like to recognize the City Manager, Mr. Cottle. Mr. Cottle.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Brian Renner, our Chief Code Enforcement Officer, will overview this item.
Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, Council. Property, first one we're going to talk about tonight is 553 Manley Avenue. This is a single-family house. It's currently vacant. Property owners, heirs of Annie Newkirk, and they're listed there. The family is generally out of state. We've only had contact with one family member who lives in New York. It's my understanding that they're all elderly. We've made recent contact with somebody looking to purchase the property, but we'd like to move forward with this, and we've seen those deals fall through numerous times. So this is a view from Manley Avenue. So the initial inspection in this case took place on October of 2024. We received a call from WPD about non-residents occupying the building and a bunch of other nuisance issues, unsecured, vacant structure. So we initiated a minimum housing code case off of that response. As I said, it's currently vacant. We have had a lot of issues with non-residents accessing the building. We've resecured that building several times in the last several months. This went to housing code hearing back in December of 2024. Nobody attended that hearing. We issued that findings of fact in January of 2025. That expired in April of 2025. No action was taken by the property owners to repair, demolish, or do anything with the property from there. As I said, we boarded this property as a public nuisance, and we continuously monitor it and have to resecure it. The family actually owns this property, 561, which you'll hear about later tonight, and then they own 565, which we're going to talk about next city council meeting. It's on the agenda. As I said, there have been no efforts to repair or demolish. We have had a conversation with a prospective buyer. They may be here this evening, but they can speak during the public hearing portion. Tax value of the building, 2024 tax value $36,700 for the building. Estimated cost of repair $40,000, puts us 110%, which is dilapidated by the city's minimum housing code. These are the sections outlined in the findings of fact. So here's photos of the property. From the outside, it doesn't look too bad. There's obviously no utilities. The HVAC has been ransacked. The handrails are rotted off. The porch steps are starting to deteriorate. The inside, obviously, we've had a lot of being accessed by non-residents, a lot of unsanitary conditions on the inside. We do have some, what you see on the left is some electrical wires that for some reason were run in an interesting way. I'm not sure what was happening there, but we definitely have some electrical issues here. On the right, you obviously see what's happening in the bathroom. We have water damage on the ceiling. And then the back room of this house, it appears that they were using it to store dogs at one point. The walls are completely chewed up. The electrical wires are ripped out of the walls in that back room as well. So what we're looking at on this is a pretty short timeline, given the amount of problems that we've had at this properties and the neighboring properties. We're looking at 30 days for the owners to repair or demolish this. We currently have the building secured, and we're checking it almost daily to make sure it stays secured. But I'm here if there's any questions about this case, and I believe the prospective buyer may be here to speak during the public hearing.
Okay. Are there any questions? Yes, sir, Mr. Barnett.
Yeah, you mentioned you talked to a family member. Was that, and they're not local, they're someplace else?
Correct. I believe they're in New York. Officer Hogue is here. He's had most of the conversations with, was it James, Rob? Up in Brooklyn, yeah.
And how did that conversation go?
Rob, do you want to come up and speak to that? I'll let Officer Hogue speak to that. He's the officer that's been managing this case.
Okay.
And he's had most of the conversations with them.
Right.
My conversation that day with Mr. James essentially stated that he had received our notices and whatnot. That day that him and I actually were able to speak on the phone, I tried multiple times to get a hold of him, as his phone number is and his address is the registered ownership address on our GS systems as well as utility accounts. That was during and me standing on the back porch of this property going in to clear it in order to board it, and he was appreciative that we were doing that, but that was really the extent of the conversation. There wasn't, I'm planning on doing this, I'm planning on doing that, and that was the last time that I heard from him.
Okay. And he's an elderly gentleman, I'm understanding.
My understanding, after speaking with someone who claimed to be a nephew of James's brother George, that he is somewhere in his 70s, but I can't confirm or deny.
That's not old. I mean, just
older than I.
Okay, well, all right.
Ouch.
You lost me on that. Okay, just want you to know. All right, I guess my last question is, you said you spoke to a nephew. Is he in the area, or you didn't speak to him, or?
So the nephew had recently been incarcerated and had been released from prison and was staying at one of the sister properties at 565A specifically. Whether he was doing so legally or not, I can't speak to. I actually ran into him last week, and he said that he's no longer there because we've not seen anybody in the property since at 565 since we've secured it. He has now stated that he's staying on the north side, but has not heard anything of his family and didn't seem necessarily happy that the properties are looking at potentially being sold, but he's not in a position to do anything himself.
Okay, thank you.
Mrs. Spears?
Yeah, this question is for Brian. How'd you speak to the potential buyers and not the owners of the property?
We actually, so when we were at the property serving the administrative inspection warrant for this public hearing, we noticed a realtor lockbox on the back door, which kind of drew our attention. But we've had postings on this house for months with our name and phone number on it, and nobody had reached out to us. Shortly after we served the administrative inspection warrant for that property and left the property, I believe Officer Hogue received a call from the prospective buyer saying that they were looking at purchasing the properties, and that was their realtor lockbox on the back door.
So you spoke with them before you spoke to Mr. James?
No, he's been speaking with Mr. James since October.
Got a microphone right there you can use.
So that was, so I spoke to Mr. James earlier in 2024. I got a call out of the blue that I missed from Allura Homes on the 12th and returned that call the following day on the 13th. So I've not heard anything or had any other contact info or successful contact with Mr. James or any of the heirs since, despite attempts.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Is the prospective buyer here? Okay. I have some questions for them.
Yes, question. Help me walk through, you said a realtor put their key on the house. How does that work? I mean,
My assumption, and they're here, they can speak to that, my assumption is that after they contacted the owners, they went and changed the locks and put a lockbox on the back door so they could access it.
All right.
But we had not had access. We had to access with the locksmith.
Okay. All right, I'll hear it. Thank you.
I want to hear talk to that lady.
Okay, well, we're about to get there. Okay, any other questions for Brian? Okay, thank you. All right, at this time, I'm going to recognize the homeowner.
Respect.
Was the homeowner here?
No, the homeowner.
Okay, that's very good. Just hold on for a second. And since the homeowner's not here, I'm going to open up the public hearing. Now you can speak, ma'am. And you can please state your name for the record and bring that microphone down. Thank you.
Yes, my name is Janie Glover. I am the property manager for Allura Homes, NC LLC. We are a veteran-owned company. I'm here representing the properties on Manley, 553 and 561, and also for the next hearing, 565. These two properties are currently owned by the late Andy Newkirk and are in pre-probate status. Both are in disrepair and currently not compliant with City of Wilmington codes. While 565 Manley, owned by James and George Fields, is part of a separate transaction and not included in this hearing, we are targeting a closing date of May 29th for all three properties, with the goal of beginning renovations immediately afterwards. To date, none of these areas have physically inspected the properties, but since being notified of this hearing, we've been in active communication with Rob Hogue at the City of Wilmington to address concerns. The city has raised valid and ongoing issues, including repeated break-ins and unauthorized occupancy by homeless individuals. In response, we submitted a clear renovation and compliance plan. This includes executed purchase and sale agreements for 553, 561, and 565 Manley Avenue, an affidavit of heirship as required by the title company, a detailed scope of work outlining repairs and code compliance actions, and a renovation schedule projecting completion of all major work within 30 days of closing. Our objective is to promptly resolve safety and compliance issues, rehabilitate these homes, and bring them into full alignment with city standards and community expectations. I have for each property, I did a scope of work and also a scheduler from the date of closing of when these properties will be in code for the city. So I don't know who wants to see them.
Very good. Well, hold on for a second. Mr. Rivenbark has a question here for you.
So, ma'am, you are you have signed with the
the owners of record, and you are acting as their agent?
Correct.
Okay.
So we reached out to the homeowners, the heirs, and we are planning to close all 3 properties on May 29th.
Okay. And you knew that they were in the legal process that we're here to discussing tonight?
Correct. As soon as we found out about the hearing, we reached out to Mr. Hoke, and that's when we started our plan of action to renovate and get all these homes in compliance for the city.
So not only this one, but the other 2 that we're going to be discussing tonight?
Well, one of them is for, I believe, June 3rd.
But you are, I get that, they're not all on the same day, but you all are going to take down all 3 of the properties?
Correct. We are going to renovate all 3.
Wonderful. It's good news.
Yes. Our goal, even though we are not physically in Wilmington, we love to serve all of our communities. We want to do better for all of our communities in North Carolina. So we're hoping that while doing these renovations, it shows that we are really committed into making a change into our local communities around us.
Okay. One more question, Mr. Mayor, excuse me. There are heirs, multiple heirs on these properties, is that correct?
Correct.
And in a lot of cases, just so, I'm sure you're aware of this, but our, Mr. Renner and his group, we run into, in this council, we run into a myriad of problems when we're trying to do, or find somebody to do what you're going to do, but we can't get the heirs to agree to the time of day, really.
Yes.
And you've been able to do that?
Yes, sir. I actually have the documentation of the affidavit of the heirship by the title company.
Wonderful.
I have all of it right here.
Thank you.
Who do I present this to?
Wait, hold on for a second.
Okay.
We still have some
Sorry.
questions. That's okay. Mr. Waddell?
Yeah, I think this is a little new to me, so I'm just trying to wrap my head around. So you have an executed purchase contract with this affidavit of heirship that basically supersedes all of the rights of the heirs to sign a contract agreement. Can you
Correct.
walk me through that?
We have a purchase agreement with all 3 properties to close on May 29th.
Who signed the purchase agreement?
One of the heirs. I have them here.
So one of the heirs signed, and they included that affidavit of heirship that then has all the other heirs listed, I would assume?
Correct.
And they all agree that they would like to sell this property?
Correct.
Okay. You got a
Yes,
home
sir.
run. Thank you.
Mr. Barnett?
I guess I want to get some more clarity on that, because, okay, so tell me what you have again. You have an affidavit that says the major heir, let's say the major heir, who that person is, he has signed it, correct?
Correct.
And then the other heirs, have they signed it as well?
Yes. So like I said, I have all the documents to prove, but all the heirs did sign off on it.
So all the heirs have signed off? All 4, I mean, when you go back to like your first slide, he had, I think, 4 or 5 different heirs, am I correct? Go back to that first slide for me.
We're aware of 3.
Okay. So I don't.
There were 3?
That's who we're aware of, yes.
Okay, I see. Oh, the heir's name, and then you got Derek, George, and James.
Yes. So James does not own 553 and 561. He owns 565 with James and George Fields owns 565. The other ones, excuse me. So the purchase agreement is signed by George Fields. So this one is for 553 Manley Avenue. Sorry, I have them all separated.
Okay.
So I have signatures from James Fields, George Fields, and Corey Newkirk, who's a POA.
So if Corey Newkirk is appealing.
A POA, because I guess one of the heirs had passed away.
Okay, yeah, so I guess I don't know anything about air property. I mean, I know a little bit, but not a lot. And I notice sometimes it can get tied up really quickly.
Correct.
And you're saying you've got an affidavit or a statement that says I can go in here by May 29th
Yes.
which is like 9 days from now,
Correct.
and I can take this property and fix it up.
Yes, so they have signed the purchase agreement for all 3 properties to close on May 29th for us to then that day start renovations and to fix all 3 of those properties. So they've already signed all that. We've already got the documents from the title company, from the heirs.
Okay, I knew. Is that, can I ask the lawyer, is that legal? I mean,
It's a private transaction. I really can't speak to the legality of it. I don't know if the potential buyer has counsel involved, but it'd probably be a better question directed to her. I really don't know.
Counsel, if I could make a recommendation, I think that the ownership and sale of this property, we'll see where we're at. As I said before, these 10, they may fall through, they may not. Our current recommendation is 30 days. We're happy to adjust that as a staff and recommend that to 90. That'll give them time to close and then begin making repairs. So if council finds that appropriate, I think staff would accept 90 days on this ordinance.
Perfect, because for each property, I have done a scheduler, and it's basically starting June 8th. It gives us a week window after closing, just in case anything comes up until July 8th.
Okay, very good. Okay, Mrs. Spears?
So 2 things. First, let me thank you for being so patient, for saying the same thing repeatedly that they can't seem to grasp. So I would have said, I've already said that previously. So thank you for being kind and patient. And then, Brian, my question to you all is, so once the ownership changes hands, does our order stay in place that she still needs that time, or?
Yes, our order would stay in place. We have a notice of lisbon filed at the courthouse, and then this obviously gets filed at the Register of Deeds, and it is affixed to the property, not to the ownership.
Okay. So, I mean, you heard his request for 90 days, the amendment for 90 days. Are you okay with that?
Yes, sir, I can reassure you that it will be done before 90 days.
Okay, but I mean,
but I am grateful for that.
Don't bite yourself.
I won't, but I am grateful for the 90 days.
So 90 days is fine with you?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Do I give this to anybody?
You can just give.
Somebody, please take this woman's documents.
You can give it to.
She's dying to give them to her.
I am. I spent a lot of time on them, okay?
We're going to get them from you, Madam Clerk. Please.
Give it to the.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okie dokie. All right, thank you. Okay, I'm going to open the public hearing. And what the heck? And ask if anybody in the public wishes to speak on item PH3. Madam Clerk, have you received any additional comments?
No, sir, I did not.
Okay, I'm going to close the public hearing and ask for the wishes of council in regard to item PH3. We have a motion approved by Councilmember Rivenbark, second by Councilmember Andrews. Any further discussion? All in favor of that motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
So unanimous.
Yeah, that motion includes, that's the 90 days, right? Okay.
Yes, just hit the button. Aye. Any opposed? That item passes unanimously on first reading. Is there a motion to waive second reading? Motion made by Councilmember Andrews, second by Mayor Pro Tem Barnett. Discussion. All in favor of that motion, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. That item passes unanimously on first as well as second reading. That brings us to our next item, which is item PH4, which is an ordinance directing the housing inspector to vacate, close, and repair or demolish the dwelling at 561 Manley Avenue as unfit for human habitation pursuant to Article 5, Chapter 16 of the City Code, and directing that a notice be placed thereon prohibiting its use or occupancy. Again, I'd like to recognize the city manager, Mr. Cottle. Mr. Cottle.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Renner will come forward and overview this item for us once again.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem, Council. I'm going to turn this over to Officer Hogue. He'd like to present this one to you this evening.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem, City Council members. The property we're bringing forth today is 561 Manley Avenue. Gotcha. Again, property 561 Manley Avenue being 2,665 square feet. It's a single-family home built in around 1930. It is vacant, and as with the previous aforementioned property, the heirs of Annie D. Newkirk are the owners, one Darrell Newkirk, George A. Fields, and James Derrick Fields. This is a view of the property currently from Manley Avenue. As you can see, there's been some fire damage. This was not how it was initially found when we started this conversation back in October of 2024 due to WPD issuing out some complaints to us about public nuisances on the property, primarily being trash, garbage around, and then the use by unsheltered individuals of the property. We had an administrative code hearing as a result of this on December 19th, 2024. None of the heirs owners were present. From that, we issued our finding of fact order, repair or demolish. January 13th, 2025 is the date that went out, and it expired April 13th of 2025. Both before and after this hearing, the property was boarded by our team, our contractors. It's been boarded multiple times within that time frame, and to this date, there have been no efforts to repair, demolish, or any other way affect the property. We have had, as stated, a recent conversation with the prospective buyer of the property, being Allura Homes. We're hoping that works out. In 2024, the building tax value was $64,000, and the land value was $68,900. The estimated cost to repair is $91,154, bringing the percentage cost to repair at $142, making this property dilapidated by minimum housing standards. So what we're asking for is to vacate, close, repair, or demolish the property. These are the housing code violation sections that are in effect here. And then we'll get into our pictures. As stated, when we started this in October 2024, there was no fire damage to this property. Several weeks after, there was a report of a fire. Someone said it was like a firework went off, and you can see the damage therein. We ended up having to reboard the property after that fact because the fire department did end up having to go in, of course, to put out the fire. We had to resecure the property after the fact to make sure that no more unsheltered individuals got in. You see the roof line, every window boarded. Where they had to do a fire hole up here at the top, we also boarded it, as there's an attic access there, and we have had multiple attempts going up on the roof, breaking into the property. It's going in, as you can see inside, a lot of debris, trash, spoiled food, clothing. Ceiling starting to come in. You can see where the fires damaged that facade. This is the bathroom within the property. As you can see, some suspect mold, human waste, and much more is the same as we go through the back of the property. As we go upstairs, we see much more in the same of waste materials, clothes, trash, food, and you can see where some of that fire damage has spread up to the top, where you can see soot, smoke, and whatnot damage on the top, and the ceiling of this area is starting to come in. So what we're asking for is approval of the ordinance to vacate, close, repair, demolish the property. We're amending our recommendation of 30 days to 90 days based on our previous conversations about the prospective, sale of the property. Thank you. Any questions?
Any questions? Thank you. It's pretty thorough.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I'm just, is the homeowner here? I'm going to recognize if the homeowner is here. Not seeing the homeowner, I'm going to open up the public hearing and ask if anyone in the public wishes to speak on item PH4. Come on up here. You're our angel tonight. You're saving all these houses. Come on. Lord, that, yes.
So they took my notebook, but basically same thing. We do understand that this house has a lot more damage, and actually I have provided photos in my notebook that we have started some clean out of the property. There's been some clean out of the landscaping and the inside of all the debris. The photos are in the notebook. We do understand that this property has a lot more damage, so we gave that until July 15th to be completed. Schedulers in there, and all the work that will be completed is also in there broken down.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Any questions? Okay, thank you.
Carry on. Anybody else want to speak? Okay, Madam Clerk, have you received any additional comments?
No, sir, I have not.
Okay, I will now close the public hearing and ask for the wishes of council. We have a motion to approve by Councilmember Joyner, second by Councilmember Andrews. Any further discussion? All in favor of that motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The item passes unanimously on first reading. Is there a motion to waive second reading? Motion made by Councilmember Andrews, second by Mayor Pro Tem Barnett. Discussion. All in favor of that motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The item passes unanimously on first as well, second reading. That brings us to our next item of business, which is our ordinances. Item 01 is a resolution authorizing the filing of condemnation actions for acquisition of right-of-way and easements for the Independence Boulevard and River Road roundabout. At this time, I'd like to recognize our city manager, Mr. Cottle. Mr. Cottle.
Mr. Mayor, as you may have noted during your introduction to this item, this is actually a resolution and not an ordinance that got misplaced on your agenda. We'll just move on with it if you so choose. Whitley Stavish with the City Attorney's Office will overview this item for us.
Very good. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, members of council. The resolution before you tonight is for the filing of condemnation actions for the River Road and Independence Boulevard roundabout. There are 4 potential condemnations we are prepared to take to file at the end of the month. These consist of right-of-way, temporary construction easements, permanent drainage easements, and permanent utility easements. Acquisition needs to be completed by May 31st in order to stay on the construction schedule. Is that better? That's an image of the location of the 4 properties. We've sent offer letters to all owners. 2 potential condemnations have agreed to settle, but we haven't closed at this time. We're circulating closing documents now. We'll continue to negotiate with the owners to resolve the issues before and after filing. Several of the parcels are represented by attorneys and have lenders involved, so that just creates another layer of hurdles to jump through to get to closing. And because of the River Lights Development Agreement, we have been on an extremely expedited acquisition timeline, and we have a really hard deadline at the end of the month in order to stay on schedule. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
I just want clarity and just to make certain that everybody understands this, that once we file the condemnation action, we've literally taken the property, and then the settlement with whoever the attorneys and the property owners are will happen at a later date. But that does not stop us from continuing to move forward with putting this roundabout in there to meet the scheduling, correct?
Yes, sir.
Very good. That's what I wanted to hear. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. What are the wishes of council in respect to the resolution? We have a motion to approve by Councilman Ravenbach, second by Mayor Pro Tem Barnett. Any further discussion? All in favor of that motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The item passes unanimously. And that brings us to our next item of business, which is a resolution followed by an accompanying ordinance. Item 02A is a resolution to authorize the city manager to enter into an amendment to the agreement with Lytle U.S. Operations, LLC, for the construction of median improvements on Eastwood Road between Town Center Drive and Cavalier Drive. And item 02B, which is the ordinance making the appropriation in the total amount of $1,281,500 from the Lytle U.S. Operations, LLC to the Streets and Sidewalks Capital Projects Fund for roadway improvements on Eastwood Road between Rogersville Road and Cavalier Drive. At this time, I'd like to recognize City Manager, Mr. Calder. Mr. Calder.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Kyle Burden, our project manager on this item, will present.
Okay.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and members of council. Before you tonight is a resolution that authorizes the city manager to enter into an amendment to the agreement with Lytle U.S. Corporation, LLC, and a companion ordinance to appropriate funds from Lytle to the Streets and Sidewalks Capital Project Fund in the amount of $1,281,500, which includes a contingency. Previously, the city and Lytle entered into a roadway improvement agreement wherein Lytle would lead the design and construction of median improvements between Rogersville Road and Cavalier Drive. These improvements are a part of the Eastwood Road Access Management Project, which is included in the city's transportation bond program. Under this agreement, The city would pay for the design and construction costs of the median improvements between Rogersville Road and Cavalier Drive. Excuse me. With Eastwood Road Access Management Project funds. The cost of the improvements between Town Center Drive and Cavalier Drive would be covered by Lidl to provide off-site roadway improvements per the development requirements for their new store located at 1451 Eastwood Road. This amendment to the agreement would shift the project management role from Lidl to the city. Lidl will contribute their proportionate share of project costs to the city for their required roadway improvements that have yet to be completed. City staff recommends the passage of both of these items. I am happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Any questions of staff? Okay, thank you, sir. All right, let's go with the first item, which is item 202A, which I've already read into the record, which is the resolution. What are the wishes of council in respect to the resolution? We have a motion to approve by Councilmember Ravenbark, second by Mayor Pro Tem Barnett. Further discussion, all in favor of that motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The item passes unanimously. Now go on to item 02B, which is the ordinance making the appropriation of $1,281,500. What are the wishes of council in respect to the ordinance? We have a motion to approve by Councilmember Andrews, second by Councilmember Joyner. Discussion, all in favor of that motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The item passes unanimously on first reading. Is there a motion to waive second reading? Motion made by Councilmember Ravenbark, second by Councilmember Joyner. Discussion. All in favor of that motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The item passes unanimously on first as well as second reading. That brings us to our next item of business, which again has an ordinance and a resolution accompanied to it. Item 03A is the ordinance appropriating $6,987,769 for the Wrightsville Avenue sidewalks and roundabout project. And then item 03B is the resolution awarding the construction contract for the Wrightsville Avenue sidewalks and roundabout project to Chatham Civil Contracting LLC of Pittsboro, North Carolina, in the amount of $6,033,187. Again, I'd like to recognize our city manager, Mr. Cottle. Mr. Cottle.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. David Cowell, our Director of Engineering, will review this item for us.
Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and members of council. Before you tonight is an ordinance making an appropriation in the amount of $6,987,769 from various completed transportation bond projects, the Transportation Bond Roadway Contingency Fund, and interest earnings for the Wrightsville Avenue sidewalks and roundabout project. This project is a combination of three separate transportation bond projects to create continuous sidewalks for approximately 2.6 miles, with 1.5 miles of new sidewalks along the north side of Wrightsville Avenue from the intersection of Independence Boulevard to the intersection of Hawthorne Drive. Pedestrian signals, curb ramps, and crosswalk upgrades will be constructed at the intersections of Wilshire Boulevard, College Road, and Hawthorne Drive. Additionally, a single-lane roundabout will be constructed at the intersection of Wallace Avenue. Also before you tonight is a companion resolution to authorize award of a construction contract for this project to Chatham Civil Contracting as the lowest responsive and responsible bidder in the amount of $6,033,187.04. The appropriation will reconcile the current project funding gap and allow for the award of the construction contract, along with providing the appropriate contingency. This project has a construction duration of 15 months and is expected to be complete by the fall of 2026. Staff recommends approval of both items. I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Are there any questions of staff? Yes, sir, Mr. Waddell.
Just with regards to the revenue from interest earnings, was that interest earnings on the, that was generated since the 2014 transportation bond, so generated from that money?
Yes, sir.
Is that?
It's in the transportation bond program.
But it wasn't specific to the streets and sidewalks bond, or?
Yes, it is. It's, the interest earnings need to be appropriated to the project by council. and particularly with the transportation bond program, council action is required to move monies even between projects.
Understood.
So interest earnings are also requiring council action.
But this is just interest earnings from the transportation bond monies?
Yes.
That's revenue that was generated internally from that, from the bond money?
Correct.
Right. And then you may know this, you probably don't. How much, is that the total amount of interest earnings that we have on that money since 2014, or do we have a number on that?
I
Is there any
believe
left over?
those are the monies that are associated with the 3 bond projects that comprise this one.
Do we have any idea if there's any more money in the bucket of interest earnings from revenue, or from the transportation bond?
I don't have that number.
We'll have to get that number for you, but yes, there is additional funding from interest earnings.
More than what you think? You think it's more than what we're appropriating here, or similar to, or I'm just trying to get an idea of what that interest earnings sitting in that account looks like.
I'll ask our Assistant Engineering Director, Denise Freund, to answer that question.
Good evening. I don't have a specific number, but the spreadsheet that y'all have seen that tracks the overall transportation bond program funding, any of the unallocated interest that is on any of the transportation bond projects or on the transportation bond roadway contingency project is accounted for in that spreadsheet.
Okay.
So all of the funds that are unallocated interest have already been accounted for in that funding gap that has already been identified.
So we've allocated any interest earnings to other funding gaps that we have?
For other transportation bond projects.
Okay.
Right. The interest earnings that are being appropriated in this case were generated on the roadway contingency project that we had, and that's where those funds were moved from that roadway contingency project into the Wrightsville Avenue project, and now they're being appropriated with this ordinance.
It generated roughly $4 million off the roadway contingency interest earnings, and then
Correct.
we've shifted those to the streets and sidewalks.
Yes.
Ish. Okay. Just trying to wrap my head around it. Thank you.
Mr. Dunbar?
Hey,
Denise?
I'm a little confused on this about the bucket of money. For example, Pine Grove North, is it generating, I mean, could that be affected? Not now, but is that going to be subject to the same interest earnings?
I think the reason why we had such a large interest earnings on the roadway contingency project is that as projects were being finished early on, or as like when the Hearst Drive project was deferred, we moved those funds into that roadway contingency project, so there was a larger balance in that for interest earnings to accumulate. As we have brought other projects to you and transferred funds between, if there were any interest earnings in those projects, they were appropriated at that time.
I see. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Anything else? Okay. All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Okay, first, before this is a big project, and I just want to say thank you to Denise and the whole staff. This is something we've been talking about since the 80s, putting a sidewalk along Wrightsville Avenue that far. And this is a testament to everybody that's worked in making this happen, and it should be a celebration. And I hope that we do some sort of a ribbon cutting, because the people have been waiting for this, like I said, since the 1980s. And this is not an exaggeration. To see this finally come to fruition is a testament to everybody that's worked on this. And I just want to say thank you. So let's go forward first on the ordinance. We have a motion to approve by Mayor Pro Tem Barnett, second by Councilmember Rivenbark. Any further discussion? All in favor of that motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item passes unanimously. Is there a motion to waive second reading in respect of the ordinance? Motion made by Councilmember Andrews, second by Councilmember Joyner. Discussion, all in favor of that motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The item passes unanimously. That brings us to the next item, which is the resolution awarding the construction contract of Wrightsville Avenue Sidewalks and Roundabout Project to Chatham Civil Contracting LLC. What is the wishes of council in respect to that? We have a motion to approve by Councilmember Andrews, second by Councilmember Joyner. Discussion, all in favor of that motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item passes unanimously. That brings us to our resolutions. Item R1 is a resolution to update the official brick and stone streets policy map. At this time, I'd like to recognize City Manager Mr. Cottle. Mr. Cottle.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Aaron Beckner, our Assistant Director of Public Works, will overview this item for us.
Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem and Council. This resolution updates the official brick and stone streets policy map to reflect recent restorations where asphalt was removed and historic brick surface was reinstated on several downtown street segments. It also adds a previously omitted Market House Alley to the map. This update has no budget impact and helps preserve the historic character of our city streets.
Any questions for staff? Okay, thank you. What are the wishes of council in respect to the resolution? We have a motion to approve by Councilmember Andrews, second by Councilmember Rivenbark. Any further discussion? All in favor of that motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item passes unanimously. That brings us to item R2, which is a resolution awarding the 2025 annual needs stormwater infrastructure repairs and rehabilitation contract to New Pipe LLC in the amount of $1,429,165. At this time, I'd like to recognize City Manager Mr. Cottle. Mr. Cottle.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Beckner will overview this item as well.
Good evening again, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem and Council. This resolution authorizes City Manager to execute a $1.43 million contract with New Pipe LLC for our 2025 annual needs stormwater infrastructure rehabilitation contract. Work focuses on in-situ pipe rehabilitation at prioritized locations citywide, reducing road closures and coordinating with street resurfacing efforts. The initial contract term is 1 year with option for 2 additional 1-year extensions based on performance and mutual agreement. And funding is available for this contract in the Storm Drain Rehab CIP. Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions, staff? If not, what are the wishes of council? We have a motion to approve by Councilmember Rivenbark, second by Councilmember Andrews. Discussion, all in favor of that motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item passes unanimously. That brings us to item R3, which is a resolution regarding the declaration of withdrawal of dedication pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 136-96 for the unnamed alley in Seagate Park. At this time, I'd like to recognize our City Manager, Mr. Cottle. Mr. Cottle.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Brian Chambers, our Assistant Director of Planning, will overview this item for us.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, members of council. This is a resolution regarding withdrawal of dedication of an unimproved alley in Seagate Park. This is an 11-foot wide unnamed alley, was originally dedicated in 1909. It has not been opened or used by the public since that time. Pursuant to state statute, the owner has requested the adoption of a resolution indicating that alley is not part of our city street plan. Staff is here to confirm that it is not indeed part of our city street plan. It is recommending approval of the resolution.
Okay, very good. Any questions? Yes, sir. Mr. Rivenbark.
Were we asked to take it into our system?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
It was requested by the property owner.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, what are the wishes of council in respect to the resolution? We have a motion to approve by Mayor Pro Tem Barnett, second by Councilman Rivenbark. Any further discussion? All in favor of that motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item passes unanimously. That brings us to our next item, which is item R4, which is a resolution establishing filing fees for the City of Wilmington elected officials. At this time, I'd like to ask council if they have any questions. Yes, sir, Mr. Joyner.
I was just curious, so we said it was last increased when?
2003, I believe.
And is this a request to us from the Board of Elections at the county for administrative purposes, or what prompted this change after 20-some years?
I am not sure what prompted this change.
Madam Clerk, okay, I know that didn't the Board of Elections
Yes, sir. Every election, city election, the Board of Elections contacts the clerk of the municipalities and inquire if your city wished to change your rate. And as the manager said, we have not done it since 2003, and I brought it to the mayor's attention, and he felt that it was time for you guys to take a look, but it's up to the council. But they have to ask me every election.
But it doesn't come up for a vote every election. It's
Whenever
just
you
they
change,
notify
you have to do a vote.
It's only a vote when it's changed.
Right.
Gotcha. Thank you.
All right, anybody else? Okay. What's the wishes of council in respect to the item? Motion to approve by Councilmember Andrews, second by Councilmember Waddell. Any further discussion? All in favor of that motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item passes unanimously. Oh, no, it doesn't. It passes 6-1. That brings us to our next item, which is item R5, which is a resolution urging the North Carolina Department of Transportation to hold a new public meeting regarding the proposed changes to the intersection of Eastwood Road, US 74, and Military Cutoff Road, US 76, and US 17. Yeah, this is something that I've just brought forward. The folks out there have got some concerns about this particular item. They're not asking for it to be withdrawn. They're asking for it just to have another public hearing. The last public hearing that was conducted on this particular item or this particular project was in 2018, even before the COVID epidemic. Drysdale Drive has just been opened. They wanted to have some idea of what that impact would have and if this was actually fully needed to do all of the work there. I know there was talk about different aspects of dealing with some of the traffic issues in that intersection. I know it's a busy intersection. I know that's something we've been talking about for quite some time. And I know that Councilmember Waddell as well as Councilmember Spears sit on the NPO board. And I know that there was the NPO board, I believe, has moved forward. I think, Mr. Waddell, you've even broached the subject about reopening this to at least have a discussion with the community in the neighborhood. So I'm bringing this up for discussion. Mr. Rivenbark.
Well, I was on the MPO in 2018 when this was up, and it was sorely needed then, and the need for it's only gotten more critical now. So I don't know what's going to be accomplished, but that's what they want. Give it to them.
Mr. Waddell.
As I said, Mr. Mayor, I do serve on the MPO with Councilmember Spears, and I brought up in February after hearing from a lot of the same folks I think that you have that would it be possible to postpone the $81 million project, understanding that the traffic concerns are great in that area, but they're great in a lot of other areas in the city as well, namely College and Oleander, which has been removed from the STIP. I won't get into that, but my intent in the discussion at the MPO February meeting to extend or delay the larger military cutoff Eastwood project was to get some data from the Drysdale extension and see just what that was doing to the traffic, and if it had a legitimate impact on that traffic. Ultimately, the greater MPO board wanted to move forward with the project, and that was and it's included in the draft STIP that's upcoming. But I do believe that additional information from the Department of Transportation is warranted. There's a lot of questions. I mean, I had questions, and I think other board members had questions, but certainly the members of the public who will be affected by this have questions about it. So certainly a public meeting from the DOT, in my opinion, is warranted, and I appreciate you bringing it forward.
Yes, Mr. Spears.
Just want to go on the record to confirm what Councilman Waddell said, that we do serve on the WMPO, and we have heard the sentiments of citizens in this area who feel that they want to be able to express more concerning this project, and they are looking to forego it to take that $81 million elsewhere, and that we should give them an opportunity to do so. So I just want the citizens to know that they are being heard, and I would also just add in that we should take the same consideration as it relates to other things in this community to let citizens know that we're listening and extend them the opportunity to be heard. Thank you.
Thank you. Sir, Mr. Rivenbark.
One last thing, be careful, because these monies kind of look like a grant to some people. Let's be careful. because I've seen them, when public rises up against something that's already gone down the path, they'll just take that money and spend it somewhere else and do it quickly. We've seen that. We've seen it happen to us. So just don't protest too much.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and make a motion to approve. Second by Councilmember Joyner. Any further discussion? All in favor of that motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item passes unanimously. That brings us to our next item of business, which is our reports. Item RP1's reports of council's appointments, committees for boards, commissions, and committee recommendations. At this time, I'd like to recognize Councilmember Rivenbark, who is the chairman of that committee.
Thank you, Mayor. The appointments to boards, commissions, and committees met on May the 5th. In attendance were myself and Councilmember Celeste Andrews. Councilmember Luke Waddell had an absence excused. Staff present were Penny Sidbury, the city clerk, and Meredith Everhart, our city attorney. The first item was put up for your consideration as the City of Wilmington/New Hanover County Commission for Women. We request to remove Sarah Snyder and appoint Jen Wilson Mathis with a term to expire on June 18th, 2027. Second item was the Greater Downtown Special Area Plan Steering Committee. Appoint Chimkima Clinton Quintana to the Commission on African American History as the representative for the Commission on African American History. Thirdly, Lower Cape Fear Water and Sewer Authority. We recommend reappointing Mayor Bill Sappho with a term to expire 5/13/28, and reappoint Charlie Rivenbark from the City Council with a term to expire 5/13/28. The next item was the New Hanover County Wilmington Community Relations Advisory Committee. Appoint Lisa Espy with a term to represent education, with a term to expire September 20, 2027. Next would be the Wilmington New Hanover County Port, Waterway, and Beach Commission. Appoint Ben Cherry to an at-large seat with a term to expire February the 28th, 2026. The next item is the Zoning Board of Adjustment. Appoint Craig Thompson as alternate number 4. And all other positions as alternates will move up. 3 will move to 2, 2 to 1, so forth and so on. I'll offer those up for the council's consideration.
Okay, very good. Okay, we have a motion to approve by Councilmember Andrews, second by Councilmember Waddell. Further discussion? All in favor of that motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The item passes unanimously. That concludes our regular agenda. Are there any items to be brought forward by our city attorney? Or person sitting in for the city attorney? Sean?
No, sir, just at the close, there's a motion for a brief closed session.
Okay. City manager?
Mr. Mayor, tonight, together with next Friday, we'll bring to a career end one that has had over 1,400 city council meetings in it, over half of which are attributable to the city of Wilmington. I just want to say thank you once again for the privilege of being able to serve as your city manager, and I wish you nothing but the best going forward.
Thank you very much. Madam Clerk? Okay. Mr. Joyner?
I wanted to say to our city manager, when you gave your remarks at your retirement ceremony, one of the things that you said was you don't look for praise, you don't look for salary increases. The way to demonstrate gratitude to you is to say thank you. And you and I have had some conversations during our monthly one-on-one meetings where I'm glad to know that I was able to do that, even before you sort of signaled that was what was special to you. So one last time here in this room in public, I just want to say thank you for an outstanding career throughout the state of North Carolina, and particularly in the city of Wilmington.
Okay. Mr. Waddell?
Tony, congratulations on a long and successful career. I appreciate the 4 years that we were able to work together, and just wish you nothing but the best in what I hope is a really peaceful and fun retirement.
Mayor Pro Tem.
I too want to say to you, Tony, thank you. I thoroughly enjoyed the monthly meetings, where you could, let your hair down, and yeah. But seriously, thank you for your humbleness. Thank you for your willingness to look at all of the issues from all angles, and thank you for being a model for our citizens. The second thing I want to share is that I had the opportunity to go to a breakfast this morning sponsored by the Wilmington Housing Coalition or something. And two things that came out that they kept saying, people love to be in Wilmington. People want to come to Wilmington. And they talked about the growth in Pender and the growth in Brunswick. And it all spins around what's happening here in Wilmington. And so we have a great city because of you and your staff, but because it all, leadership starts at the top. So we want to thank you for your service. And I hope your wife gives you an extra long list of things to do.
Mr. Rodenberg.
Yes, sir. I've worked with 3 city managers. You've done pretty good, Tony. And I just want to thank you. I'm sure I thanked you each time, but I want to thank you for taking all those calls when somebody is chewing on my backside, and I called you for guidance and to take the lead, and you always did, and I appreciate that. And Wilmington's had great city managers, and I feel 100% confident that that string is going to continue tonight. Thank you, Tony. I appreciate it. Have fun. Don't forget to have fun.
Tony, I just can't even believe that this is your last meeting. And thank you so much for all that you've done for the city of Wilmington and for making my transition onto the council a smooth one. So thank you for that. And I also just wanted to briefly mention that tomorrow night from 5 to 7, the endowment is having a public meeting. And I think they had their last one and it conflicted with our meeting. So anybody that might be interested in going to that, it's going to be at Cape Fear Community College Union Station from 5 until 7.
Mr. Spears.
Tony, congratulations. I will say, I think we've grown on each other in these 5 years. We started off rocky, but I can agree with everybody else up here that you've done a great job. And you've definitely responded well to those texts that I send early in the morning. But I truly do appreciate the work that you've done for the city of Wilmington. Thank you for your service, and I hope you enjoy your retirement. And you know what I told your wife, if you start getting on her nerves, she should call me.
Tony, I just want to say, as I've said before, thank you. You did good to your hometown. You did really good. And I called you Tony the Tiger because you took on the toughest projects. Sterling always gave you the toughest projects. And you really did an outstanding job. I mean, a lot of people don't realize that you were the really spearheaded the baseball vote. And although, not the vote, but the actual putting it together with the Braves, and I know how much work that went into that, knowing that was probably an uphill battle. But in the end, we as a community and as a city and a city council made the right decision in purchasing that property for the community and for the citizens that will be there forever. And we have such an outstanding amphitheater now, kind of renowned all over the country. And River Place, no one ever thought that project would ever get off the ground. And I know how complex that was, selling air rights, keeping the land rights, the amount of infrastructure that went into that project, and the transformation that took place in the central business district was outstanding. What you did working with the EOC, I remember you in Florence. I remember you in command of that place and working with our staff and making it look so easy, and all of the work that went into that. I know how many days those people were in that EOC. I think it was about 12 days. And this man was right there with them and would not leave their side. And I just appreciate everything you did during that time. That was a tough time for this community, as well as the COVID response. I'm going to miss you. You are a true professional. You've been a standard bearer of what city managers should be, and something I know that you are renowned all over the state of North Carolina. I've heard that from many different people, but I really just want to say on behalf of all the citizens, thank you to your public service to this community, but also thank you to your public service to this state. did an outstanding job, my friend, and you should be proud of what you've been able to do. You have made a difference. And more importantly, and I just want to say this to the entire staff, anybody that's listening, he cared about each one of you. And he always told me that everything that has happened in this community is because of the men and women that have worked for the city that give it their all every single day. I know we're not perfect, but the way you folks respond and what we've been able to do as a community in the last, at least since I've been here for 20 years, has just been remarkable. People talking about Wilmington, we're on #1 list all over the country now. People have found us, they love us, they see what we've been able to do, and it's to the people that work for this organization that you had the responsibility to help guide for years. And I just want to say thank you, because I know you really cared about each and every one of them. So thank you, buddy. Appreciate it. Thank you for everything. Now, I'm going to ask the council if they will waive the rules to pass a resolution appointing our new city manager. So we have a motion to approve by Councilmember Ravenbark, second by Councilmember Waddell. Any further discussion? All in favor of that motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That item passes unanimously, so the rules have been waived. So now the resolution reads, and this is introduced by the City Council, a resolution to appoint Rebecca L. Hawk as city manager. The legislative intent and purpose is whereas current city manager Anthony N. Cottle has announced his retirement effective May 30th, 2025, and whereas pursuant to Article 8, Section 8.1 of the City Charter, City Council is vested with the authority to appoint a city manager. And whereas following a comprehensive national search, City Council has selected Rebecca L. Hawk as the most qualified candidate to serve as the next city manager. Therefore, be it resolved that Rebecca L. Hawk is hereby appointed to the position of city manager for the city of Wilmington, that the mayor is hereby authorized to execute an employment agreement with Rebecca L. Hawk consistent with the terms and conditions discussed and approved by the City Council, that the effective date of this appointment shall be June 30th, 2025, subject to final execution of the employment agreement. So we have a motion to approve by Councilmember Andrews, second by Councilmember Joyner. Any further discussion? All in favor of that motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That item passes unanimously. And Mrs. Hawk, I know you're here in the building, so please come forward.
Thank you so much, Mayor Saffo, Mayor Pro Tem, and members of council. It is truly an honor to be standing before you today, for you to put your faith and trust in me to continue to carry the torch that has been carried so well by Mr. Cottle. Wilmington has long been a city that I have admired and I have loved, and the opportunity to call it my home while working to deliver your vision for the community, working with staff, working with local stakeholders. I haven't been sleeping well, but it's out of excitement, and I just can't wait to get to work. So thank you all for your faith in me, and Mr. Cottle has been delightful in helping pass along information, and I've also started to already get to know staff, and they have already been incredibly impressive. And so the ability to get to know them more and work with all of you and understand what you would like to see is something that I look forward to getting started in just a couple of weeks. So thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you, Ms. Hall. Appreciate it. Thank you, and welcome. And now have been asked or tasked to ask for a closed session, to enter a closed session pursuant to the provisions of North Carolina General Statute, Section 143-318.11, A and 6, in order for the City Council to, 1, to consider the qualifications, competence, performance, character, fitness, conditions of appointment, or conditions of initial employment of prospective public officers or employees. The closed session will be held here in council chambers, and after we pass this, everyone is asked to leave the chambers at that time. At the end of the closed session, council will reopen its public session from this room. So do I have a motion to go into closed session. We have a motion by Councilmember Andrews, second by Mayor Pro Tem Barnett. Any further discussion? All in favor of that motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That item passes unanimously. We will now be going into closed session, and I will ask for everybody to please leave the room.